February 4th, 2016, 2:45 a.m. in Dhaka, Bangladesh. The nation's central bank is quiet, but its servers hum with life, connected to SWIFT, the system that moves trillions across the globe. Tonight, someone is hijacking it. In New York, the Federal Reserve sees a storm of transfer requests. Millions here, millions there. Nearly $1 billion on the move, all stamped with the official seal of Bangladesh Bank. But then, something odd. One transfer is flagged. The recipient is a tiny nonprofit called Shalika Foundation. Another request contains a spelling mistake, fandation instead of foundation. That tiny slip stops billions in their tracks. Back in Dhaka, the bank's printers, meant to confirm transactions, are frozen by malicious code. Officials sleep, unaware their reserves, the lifeblood of the country, are draining away. By the time the alarm is raised, $81 million has already vanished, funneled into Manila casinos and beyond recovery. This is not a movie. It's the story of the biggest bank heist in history. And the thieves? They never set foot inside the building. Behind the scenes of global money, there's one system that keeps it all moving. It's called SWIFT. No ads, no logos, no hype. Just the silent backbone of world finance, connecting over 11,000 banks across 200 countries. Every transfer, every billion-dollar shift in currency, flows through it. It runs on trust. Trust that every message is real. Trust that no one can alter it. Trust that the banks guarding it are impenetrable. But in Dhaka, Bangladesh, that trust was fragile. The Bangladesh Bank, managing billions in national reserves, was protecting its digital vaults with outdated firewalls, second-hand routers, and no real intrusion detection. To the outside world, it looked like a fortress. Inside, it was paper-thin. And thousands of miles away, someone was watching. The Lazarus Group, a shadowy team of hackers believed to work for North Korea's spy agency. Their mission wasn't chaos for fun, it was survival. By 2016, North Korea's economy was collapsing under sanctions. The regime was desperate for hard currency to fund weapons, feed elites, and stay alive. And Lazarus was their digital army. They had already made headlines. In 2014, they crippled Sony Pictures, leaking films and emails. Before that, they paralyzed South Korean banks and TV stations. But this time wasn't about embarrassment. It was about money. Cold, hard, cash. Lazarus operatives slipped into Bangladesh Bank's network through weak security. They studied SWIFT from the inside, its quirks, its logs, its printers. They learned how the system looked when everything was normal, so they could mimic it perfectly when it wants. This was not a smash and grab. It was a silent invasion, months in the making. And in February 2016, they pulled the trigger. Because this was not just a robbery. This was a nation, using hackers as soldiers, and turning code into a weapon. The doors did not burst open with guns. No alarms. No guards chasing shadows. The thieves who came for Bangladesh Bank entered quietly, through keyboards, not crowbars. Months before the heist, Lazarus hackers slipped into the network with a simple phishing email. Someone clicked. A door opened. And just like that, the vault of a nation was exposed. The bank's defenses were weak, outdated firewalls, late software updates, no real separation between everyday computers and the ones connected to SWIFT, the system that moves trillions worldwide. Analysts later called it a house with no locks. Once inside, Lazarus moved like patient burglars. They mapped the system, studied which machines touched SWIFT, watched the rhythm of daily transfers, and they spotted a problem: the human factor. Employees relied on printers to confirm every SWIFT transfer with a physical slip of paper. If those printers worked, the fraud would be obvious, so Lazarus sabotaged them. Malware jammed the software, ensuring that when the heist began, the machines would fall silent. Then they waited, silent, watching, hidden. The date was chosen carefully, February 4th, 2016, a Friday in Bangladesh when offices closed early. But in New York at the Federal Reserve, the workday was still in full swing. That night, a flood of transfer requests hit New York. Dozens of instructions, perfectly forged, each carrying Bangladesh Bank seal. Hundreds of millions set to flow to the Philippines and Sri Lanka. No one in Dhaka noticed. The offices were dark, the printers stayed silent, and the reserves of a nation bled invisibly across oceans. For hours, it looked like Lazarus had pulled off the impossible. Nearly $100 million stolen without ever stepping inside a vault. But then, a single mistake, a spelling error. Fandation instead of foundation. That one word slowed the cascade just enough. Most transfers were stopped, but $81 million slipped through, straight into the shadows of Manila's casinos. The infiltration was over, the money was gone, and yet, the real heist was only beginning. The money was out, $81 million, vanishing from Bangladesh Bank, reappearing in Manila. But stealing it was only half the crime. Now it had to be cleaned. The destination? Casinos. Bright, loud, built on risk. The perfect laundromats for dirty money. Here, millions can be turned into chips, gambled just enough, and cashed out, free of their fingerprints. The hackers funneled the funds through shell companies, businesses that existed only on paper, with innocent names and fake directors. The cash flowed into bank accounts, then straight into casino floors. Chips bought, tables played, cash withdrawn. To regulators, it looked like ordinary business. To Lazarus, it was alchemy, dirty dollars becoming spendable cash. And the system helped them, a sleepy compliance officer, a casino clerk who did not ask questions, a banker who assumed a big transfer was legitimate. Tiny oversights stacked together into a fortress for criminals. By the time investigators reacted, the money had already scattered into private pockets, luxury purchases, and hidden accounts. Tracing it was like chasing smoke through mirrors. For Bangladesh, the fallout was brutal, its central bank humiliated, markets shaken, a nation's reputation stained. And for Lazarus, it was a success. Tens of millions moved without guns, without masks, just patience, and a world full of weak spots. But laundering leaves patterns, strange transfers, shell companies that don't add up, casino ledgers with gaps. And those patterns would become the breadcrumbs investigators followed, breadcrumbs that would lead, eventually, to North Korea. The money was gone, but the hunt had only just begun. In Dhaka, the morning after the heist felt ordinary. But inside Bangladesh Bank, panic spread. Printers that should be churned out receipts were dead. Screens glitched. And then the calls from New York arrived. At first, officials denied it. They argued with the Federal Reserve, begged for an error to explain it all. But the evidence was clear. The transfers were authenticated. The system had trusted them, and that trust was gone. The world woke up to the story. Headlines screamed, "The biggest bank heist in history." Reporters stormed Dhaka. Politicians scrambled. The governor of Bangladesh Bank resigned. Confidence in the financial system cracked. In New York, the Fed faced outrage. Why had they honored so many transfers? Why had only a misspelling and a shady charity name stopped the rest? In Manila, investigators were dragged under the spotlight. The stolen money had poured into casinos, shielded by a legal loophole that let millions vanish under flashing lights. But then came the revelation that changed everything. Cybersecurity experts traced the malware. It looked eerily familiar. The same code had been used in the Sony Pictures hack. The trail pointed straight to the Lazarus Group, and Lazarus pointed to North Korea. This was not just theft. It was a government, under sanctions, using hackers to rob a foreign central bank. The line between cybercrime and cyber warfare had been erased. For Bangladesh, the humiliation was devastating. For global finance, the shock was worse. If Lazarus could break into a central bank, no system was truly safe. SWIFT was forced to admit its fortress walls had cracks. Banks worldwide rushed to harden their defenses. And yet, the bitter truth remained. $81 million was gone, some frozen, some traced, but much of it disappeared into casinos and shell companies beyond recovery. North Korea had pulled off the unthinkable. They robbed a central bank, and they got away with it. The heist left more than empty accounts. It left a question hanging over the entire world. If a nation can steal with a keyboard, what does sovereignty mean in the digital age? And if trust in the system can be forged, then what does security really mean? This was not just a crime. It was a warning. The Bangladesh bank hack was not just about stolen money. It was a revelation. A wake-up call that the bloodstream of civilization, money itself, was no longer safe inside vaults. For decades, banks feared robbers with guns, not hackers with laptops. Steel doors and cameras meant nothing. The Lazarus Group proved the real threat was already inside the wires. After February 2016, panic spread through the financial world. SWIFT rushed to tighten defenses. Banks scrambled to patch systems and monitor anomalies. Cybersecurity was no longer IT's problem. It was national security. Lazarus itself only grew bolder. They unleashed WannaCry ransomware in 2017, crippling hospitals and companies across 150 countries. They stole billions in cryptocurrency to fuel Pyongyang's nuclear ambitions. The hackers weren't thrill seekers. They were soldiers in a shadow war. The Bangladesh bank heist rewrote the mythology of crime. No ski masks, no gunfights, no getaway cars. Just silence, malware, and the hum of servers obeying new masters. The Lazarus Group did not just steal $81 million. They stole the world's confidence. And the greatest heist of the century. It may still be coming. It was the beginning. If hackers can drain a central bank without stepping inside, what do you think they will target next? Before you go, like this video, subscribe, and tap the bell icon to stay ready for what comes next.